Alright, so today I'm going to be listening to some Wolfgang Rihm, this orchestra piece, Jagden und Formen. This was written over a period of several years, looks like 1995 to 2001, and then it had a considerable revision in 2008. That's the version I'm going to be listening to today. This is a massive orchestral work. It's like an hour long in all one movement. And let me just grab the full instrumentation here for you. 2-1-2-1, 2-2-2-1, 3 percussionists, guitar / electric bass, harp, piano, and then strings. The oboist is only on English horn. The clarinetists are both in A for the most part. First clarinet has to double on bass clarinet in B flat, and the second clarinet has to double on bass clarinet in B flat and contrabass clarinet in B flat. There's a percussion list for each performer. First percussion is on antique cymbal, vibraphone, wood blocks, 2 tam-tams, let's see what else, a gong of some sort, tubular bells, cymbal, and then second percussion is on marimba, their own antique cymbal, which is a minor second lower than the first percussion, and then 4 gongs, very large tam-tam, bongos, tom-toms, and then more cymbals, 2 suspended ones, and then the regular cymbals. Third percussion has a much larger assortment of antique cymbals, their own tubular bells, maybe they're playing on the same set as the first percussionist. They have their own set of cymbals and 6 gongs, a hanging cymbal, wood blocks, bongo, conga, and bass drum. So a lot of similar instruments in each part. This is our first piece by Wolfgang Rihm, so I'm just going to give a brief bio for him before we get into it. So Wolfgang Rihm passed away just last year in July of 2024 and was born in 1952, just after the Second World War. And he's a German contemporary classical composer, and he's a post-war European composer, so modernist, and has composed over 500 works, so incredibly prolific. He won international recognition with an orchestra piece called Morphony, which was written in 1974, and he combines avant-garde techniques with emotional individuality, and he has a couple operas that are famous. Jacoblenz, 1977, Oedipus, 1987, and Dionysos, 2010. Studied with Stockhausen from 72 to 73, then studied at the music school in Freiburg for the next 3 years with Klaus Huber. I think it's probably not coincidental that his fame came shortly after studying with Stockhausen. He seems to be mostly a Berlin-based artist, and if we look at this list of compositions, we can see that it's quite extensive. Mostly instrumental stuff. Got an honorary doctorate from the Free University of Berlin. Some of his notable students include Jörg Widmann and Rebecca Saunders. That's interesting. So yeah, this is sort of a nice way to peer into the world of German modernist music. The recording I'm going to listen to today is in the description to the video. I really don't know what I'm in for here, so you'll probably see a change in my mood as I transition into the post-listening portion of the video, and I talk a little bit about my thoughts on this piece. Okay, so yeah, so this one I was I ended up listening to the 2001 version, but the score I have is the 2008 version. So um, unfortunately, the first 9 minutes or so of the piece are exactly the same in both versions. So by the time I realized that I was listening to the wrong one, I didn't really feel a strong urge to restart the whole session. So I listened to the older version. There are still a lot of parts that are the same, so I could more or less follow along. I think most of the sections are that aren't cut entirely are just sort of expanded. A lot of the faster stuff is expanded, and it still hits all the same beats. It's just that the very ending is completely different. Well, it's hard to imagine what this newer version sounds like just based on what I was seeing, but it seemed to have less. Um, it seemed to give you less respite towards the end. There was less slow stuff at the end, whereas this 2001 version there was like a little harp moment, very short, unison moment, some big silences at the end. So there was like more stuff thrown at you, I think, in the 2001 version to break up the intensity of it, whereas this is even appears to be even more through composed. Just reading up on it, it seems that the 2008 version incorporates more of Rim's works, so there's some sort of self quotation going on here, which escapes me because I don't know Rim's music that well. Overall, I think I was just really not prepared for this or in the mood for it. It's really incredibly athletic sounding and it's fast the whole time. There are slower sections, but even the slower sections are in a fast tempo and there's enough rhythmic detail in them that it never loses that speed and intensity. And you can see it's like over 1,000 measures. 1228 is the start of the last section. So the last line of music here. The opening's very distinctive. This sort of like, I don't want to sing it, but there's like a 4 or 5 note motive, which you first hear in the second violin, which kind of reminds me of Barrio a little bit. Like so, it sounds like something that you'd hear in Barrio's Sinfonia, and that theme stuck out. There's a lot of other sections that were more dense with material to the point where it's almost noisy, especially like the lower, like the fast moving low stuff with basses and bassoons and marimba. It's you know quite like it's so notey, and in a just hearing it from some speakers on my TV here, it's really hard to pick out what is going on pitch wise. It almost just becomes a timbral thing at points. But I like the way that it introduced one color after another at the beginning, and I think the first 10 minutes really kept my attention. It was really strong. Um, don't know if I feel a strong urge to listen to this one again anytime soon, honestly, but I think it would definitely be up somebody's alley. And I think hearing it live and seeing it live would be fantastic because you'd get the full impact of like all of these performers playing so athletically and executing this thing. I liked the introduction of like repeated ostinato type figures like 33 minutes in. I think that was a whole new idea and it was very welcome. And I guess if I was super into this, I would just be listening to the 2008 version now and comparing the two. But I've had a long week. I think this is where I'm going to stop. We have another piece by Yoshihiro Kano. And I don't know quite what to expect here. He's more of a film composer, in my opinion. So it might be very tonal. So we'll see if that's what it is.